Oh, sweetie, have you ever wondered what would happen if Dexter met his match? Imagine our favorite blood spatter analyst turned vigilante facing off against 17 of the most twisted minds in fiction. From cannibals to clowns, supernatural hunters to sociopathic businessmen. We're about to find out who'd end up on Dexter's table, and who might just turn the tables on him. Ready to play a dangerous game of who would win in the criminal underworld? Let's savor the delectable tale of Hannibal Lecter, shall we? Picture him in his element, preparing a special meal with surgical precision. But don't let his refined tastes fool you. This cannibal's mind is sharper than his cutlery. He plays chess while others fumble with checkers, always 3 steps ahead. But what really makes my skin tingle is how he toys with his prey. Dexter might find Hannibal a tough morsel to swallow. It would be a battle of wits that could go either way. Now, let's spice things up with a taste of the supernatural, shall we? Sam and Dean Winchester are about to crash our little party. These boys have danced with devils and angels alike. But honey, Dexter's no common demon. He's a whole different kind of monster. And you know what they say about fighting monsters, don't you? For all their supernatural experience, Sam and Dean might find themselves out of their depth with our Dexter. He's no demon or ghostly apparition, just a man with a very particular set of skills. And sometimes that's far more terrifying than any monster they've faced. Next comes something a little more corporate. Ready to meet a killer who's more concerned with his business card than covering his tracks? Patrick Bateman might look like the poster boy for Wall Street success, but beneath that Armani suit lies a beast that's all impulse, no finesse. Think he can match wits with our dear Dexter? You see, our Patrick's ego is bigger than his. Well, let's just say it's enormous. He's so busy admiring himself in the mirror that he forgets to plan his murders. He'd be on Dexter's table faster than you can say, Huey Lewis and the news. Well, shall we move on to someone who actually knows how to handle a weapon? Barry Burkman, the assassin with a heart of gold and hands of steel. But here's the burning question. Can a man torn between 2 worlds really win here? Barry's not just your average hitman, sugar. He's got that military training that makes him oh so dangerous. You should see him when things get messy. He improvises like a jazz musician, only his instrument is a gun. Could he take on Dexter? Barry's got the skills, but Dexter's got that perfect blend of method and madness. Our favorite blood spatter analyst might just come out on top, but oh, what a delicious dance it would be to watch. Speaking of dances, ready to tango with someone who loves to play twisted games. Imagine waking up in a room where every breath could be your last. That's the world Jigsaw creates. But what if I told you some people walk away from his traps feeling grateful? That's a mind game even Dexter might struggle to unravel. Those traps are a work of art. Take the reverse bear trap. It's not just about escaping. It's about making a choice that'll haunt you forever. And that's what makes our puppet master so deliciously dangerous. Now, picture our crime scene expert trying to crack this code. Jigsaw's always 10 steps ahead, leaving breadcrumbs that lead nowhere. It's a dance Dexter's not ready for, sweetie. Speaking of nightmares, there is someone who can really get inside your head. There's a killer who can turn your sweetest dreams into your worst nightmare. Freddy Krueger doesn't just lurk in the shadows, honey. He is the shadow, and he's coming for you the moment you close those pretty eyes. That burned face, those razor-sharp fingers, and that iconic red and green sweater. But it's not his fashion sense that'll give you nightmares. It's his ability to slip into your dreams and turn them into a playground of terror. Freddy knows exactly what makes you tick. Your deepest fears, your darkest secrets. They're all fair game in his world. And our dear Dexter. He wouldn't stand a chance. After all, how do you catch a killer who only exists in your dreams? Speaking of nightmares, let's turn our attention to someone a little more grounded. Imagine a hulking figure, standing at 6'8", and weighing 280 pounds of pure, unhinged fury. Now, give him a chainsaw. Feeling a little weak in the knees yet? It's Leatherface. Picture him in his workshop, surrounded by bones and the stench of decay. It's not exactly a 5-star restaurant, but our boy knows how to work with what he's got. It's a terrifying strength that could make a bull look like a kitten. Our dear Dexter might think he's got this in the bag, but the opponent isn't as predictable as your average killer. Dexter could take him down, sure, but it wouldn't be a walk in the park. Speaking of parks, how about we take a stroll down to a quaint little chicken shop? I hear the owner's to die for. Something smells finger-licking good. But honey, this isn't your average fast food joint. The secret ingredient? It's to die for. Literally. Ready to meet the man behind the counter who's cooking up more than just chicken. Oh, Gus Fring. Such a sweet, unassuming man. But don't let that polite smile fool you, darling. Behind those kind eyes lies a mind sharper than my stilettos. The puppet master of a drug empire that would make your head spin. He's always 3 steps ahead. But Dexter's got a few tricks up his sleeve, too. In the end, our justice seeker might just come out on top. But what a delicious dance it would be. Speaking of dances, ready to tango with someone who's got some serious mommy issues? Ever wonder what happens when charm meets psychosis? Picture this, a shy smile, and a knife that gleams in the moonlight. Oh, honey, let me tell you about the Bates Motel. It's not exactly a 5-star resort, but it's got character. And Norman? He's the sweetest little thing you've ever seen, until he's not. But here's the thing, for all his split personalities, Norman's just not in Dexter's league. Our boy would have him wrapped up in plastic before Norman could even slip into his mother's dress. Speaking of dressing up, our next killer got a flair for the dramatic that would make Broadway jealous. Ready to meet a clown who's anything but funny. Art. The clown doesn't need words to make you squirm. His actions speak volumes. And honey, it's a language of exquisite terror. A grotesque clown costume, exaggerated features, and a silence that screams danger. But it's not just his look that'll chill you to the bone. Oh no, darling. Look at that sadistic creativity. And he's like a cockroach in grease paint, always coming back for more. It's enough to make even Dexter's blood run cold. Against our favorite vigilante, it's a toss-up, really. Art's unpredictability might just be his ace in the hole. Now, shall we waddle over to someone a bit more sophisticated? I hear Gotham's got a new crime lord, and he's got quite the nose for trouble. Let me introduce you to the unassuming little bird who's about to ruffle your feathers. Oswald Cobblepot might waddle, but don't let that fool you. This man's mind is sharper than a bird's beak. And he's pecked his way to the top of Gotham's underworld. Our dear penguin didn't just rise to power. He clawed his way up, leaving a trail of betrayed allies and outsmarted enemies in his wake. It'd be a challenge, but our body part separator might just be able to clip this bird's wings. How about we unwrap the mystery of a certain masked menace? Imagine Halloween night, darling. The air's crisp, leaves crunch underfoot. But wait! Did you hear that? The sound of silent footsteps following you home. Michael Myers is on the hunt, and you don't want to be his treat. Our shape's got stamina that would make Olympic athletes weep. He just keeps coming, no matter what you throw at him. Bullets? Please, fire. He's walked through infernos. And don't think you can hide, sweetie. Michael's got a nose for fear, and he'll sniff you out like a bloodhound in a butcher shop. Dexter wouldn't stand a chance against this masked menace. It'd be like watching a shark devour a minnow. Next up, someone a bit more modern. Ever wonder what happens when a bookworm develops a taste for blood? Oh, darling, let me introduce you to Joe Goldberg. He's the kind of man who'll steal your heart and maybe keep it in a box. Our Joe has got a talent for turning social media into his own personal hunting ground. With just a few clicks, he knows your favorite coffee shop, your daily routine, and probably what color underwear you're wearing right now. Now, Dexter might think he's got this one in the bag, but don't underestimate our bookish boy. Joe's got a few tricks up his sleeve that could make things interesting. It'd be a difficult but maybe manageable task for him. We have someone who takes never say die to a whole new level. Honey, Jason Vorhees isn't just hard to kill. He's practically immortal. What happens when an unstoppable force meets Dexter's immovable moral code? Let's find out. Picture this. Camp Crystal Lake, where the air is thick with fog and the scent of impending doom. Our boy Jason stalks through the shadows, machete in hand, ready to punish anyone who dares to trespass. He's not just brutal, darling. He's efficient. Dexter might think he's hot stuff, but against Jason, he'd be nothing more than another body at the bottom of Crystal Lake. Our masked maniac is simply out of his league. Speaking of leagues, let's dive into someone a little more grounded in reality. You think Jason's a nightmare? Let me introduce you to a monster who hides in plain sight. What if the guy next door, the one with the charming smile and steady job, was secretly harboring the darkest of desires? By day, he's just another face in the crowd. But by night, he's a predator with an appetite for the forbidden. He lured young men into his lair, promising them a good time, only to drug and assault them. But he wasn't as clever as he thought. And our dear Dexter, he'd have a field day with this one. Dahmer fits his code like a glove, making him the perfect prey for our vigilante. Let's turn our attention to someone a little more unpredictable. Ever wondered what happens when chaos puts on a smile? This is a man who doesn't just embrace chaos. He is chaos incarnate. What if I told you there's a killer out there who could turn Dexter's carefully constructed world upside down with just a laugh? Here's our Joker, darling, who's got a mind sharper than any blade. He's always 10 steps ahead, playing a game where only he knows the rules. Oh, sweetie, the Joker would be Dexter's worst nightmare. He's unpredictable, brilliant, and absolutely ruthless. Dexter likes to play by his code, but the Joker? He'd burn that code to the ground and dance in the ashes. Now, let's talk about someone who's less about chaos and more about precision. The next killer so dangerous, even the criminals have nightmares about him. They call him the Boogeyman, but we know him as John Wick. He isn't just skilled, he's a force of nature. Martial arts, gunplay, tactical thinking. He's got it all, wrapped up in a sleek black suit. And his determination? But What really makes Johnny Boy a cut above the rest is his connections. So, why would Dexter struggle with Mr. Wick? Simple, sugar. John's not just another target. He's the target. Wouldn't that be a delicious showdown to witness? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got one last treat to savor before we wrap up our little game of predator and prey. You see, darling, true danger comes in many flavors, each more intoxicating than the last. Now, I've got a little secret for you. I'm dying to hear your thoughts on these deadly matchups. Who do you think would come out on top? Share your darkest fantasies with me. After all, the night is young, and so are our twisted imaginations.